Welcome to another bonus edition of Upon Further Review.
Upon further review,
And in this edition, we'll be talking about the Monday Night Football matchup between the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 7. And you can catch that on October 20th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And that will be on ESPN on Monday Night Football. And heading into this game, both of these teams are 3-3 on the season. The Texans started off 2-0 as they beat the Redskins at home in Houston. And then they went to Oakland and beat the Raiders, but then they lost in New York to the Giants. Then they hosted the Bills and they won that game to even up their record, actually to make their record 3-1. And then they went to Dallas and they lost in overtime, and that brought their record to 3-2, and then they hosted the Colts, and that brought them to 500 as they lost to Andrew Luck by just 5 points. And then when we look at the Steelers, they started off with a victory against Cleveland in Pittsburgh in Week 1. They won by a field goal. Then they went to Baltimore and lost by 20 points to the Ravens. Then they went to Carolina and they beat the Panthers. And then they hosted the Bucks, and they actually lost to Tampa Bay by a field goal, well, by 3 points. It was really a heartbreaker for Pittsburgh fans, and the Bucks got their only win of the year with a late, comeback. And then they went to Jacksonville and they beat the Jaguars, but then they went to Cleveland and they lost to the Browns last week by 3 touchdowns. So now they host the Texans on Monday Night Football in Week 7. So both these teams at 500, one of them will be above 500 and one will be below 500 when this thing is said and done. And let's look at the numbers for both of these teams. And the Texans are 28th in the NFL in passing yards per game. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 11th in passing proficiency. Then we look at defense, and the Texans are 28th in passing defense, and the Steelers are 10th. So the clear advantage goes to the Steelers in the passing game. Then we look at the running offense of the Texans. They're 10th at running the ball, and the Steelers are 5th in rushing yards per game. Then we look at the running defense. The Texans are 22nd, and the Steelers are 15th. So the clear advantage goes to the Steelers in the running game. Then we look at the points scored. The Texans are 17th in points scored, and the Steelers are 20th. And then when points against, the Texans are 4th, and the Steelers are 19th. So when it comes to scoring, the advantage is actually in favor of the Texans, as the Texans are, again, an example of one of those teams that bends, but they don't break. They let up a lot of yards to the air and on the ground, but they don't let up a lot of points. The problem is, though, is that they don't score a lot of points. Seems like sometimes their defense is more proficient at scoring than their offense, as they are not getting really that good a play out of quarterback. Is Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'll tell you, I've been standing up for this guy for years, been saying that he is not as bad as everyone says he is, but I'm starting to think that maybe I'm wrong about him and maybe he does suck. I mean, the way that they lost that game when he fumbled the ball, against the Colts, I mean, it was really, talk about a really tough loss for Houston fans. I mean, J.J. Watt came up huge in that game. They had the opportunity to win, and then Fitzpatrick just let it all slip out of his hands, literally. And on the year, I mean, he is not protecting the ball by any stretch of the imagination. Fitzpatrick has thrown 6 touchdowns, and he's thrown 6 interceptions. So it's time for someone else behind center. I tell you, they should have kept Case Keenum, in my opinion, especially the way things. I thought Fitzpatrick maybe would do something, but man, he's just. I'll tell you, the guy can read a book. He's from Harvard, right? But he can't read a defense. Not to save his life. Aaron Foster, though, he's been doing pretty good. He has 513 yards on the ground. He's been just tearing it up. He's got 5 touchdowns. Too bad they don't really have much of a passing game, but Andre Johnson is getting his yards. He's got 419. He's got a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins has 366 receiving yards. He's got 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, they've got some talent. And, of course, J.J. Watt, he's been just friggin' phenomenal. He has 4 sacks. He's scoring touchdowns. I mean, the guy, he's crazy. Like, he's blocking kicks. He's just amazing. He's got an interception for a touchdown. He's got a fumble return for a touchdown. The guy's definitely the best defensive player, and he's the X factor in any game the Texans play, because you know he's going to make some big plays, and he's going to make things happen. He's going to give the Texans a chance to win. The only problem is that Fitzpatrick will then undo whatever friggin' good J.J. Watt did. Fitzpatrick will just flush it all down the toilet because he sucks. And I'm done sticking up for him, finally. I've had enough. It's like they say, the definition of insanity is when you keep trying the same thing and have the same results, but you keep going. Well, I'm done defending Ryan Fitzpatrick because he's not giving me any freaking, anything to defend him with. He just keeps being trash. But anyway, we look over at the Steelers. And Roethlisberger, he's doing all right. He's got 1,593 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. Their running game, though, Le'Veon Bell, 542 yards on the ground. He's got a touchdown. LeGarrette Blount has 213 yards and 2 touchdowns. They definitely have no problem running the ball. Antonio Brown has 629 receiving yards. He's definitely their number one target. Of course, he has to stay healthy. He sometimes will have issues with that, but I think the Steelers win this game. Initially, I was actually going to go with the Texans at first, but I keep picking the Texans, and they keep losing. It's like every time I pick the Texans, they lose. Hey, maybe now I'm picking the Steelers, maybe they win, right? But no, I mean, it's just both these teams, too, are tough to get a hold on. They're both 500. It's like it's tough to know which team is going to show up, any given week with these two. They're kind of up and down. But I think the Steelers, though, the thing is historically, Monday Night Football is where they shine. They are one of the best teams in primetime and on Monday night. And so I expect them to come out big in this game. And already we saw, that they can, do things in prime time. So we'll see. We've seen over the years what they do on, Monday Night Football. Will they do the same this year? Of course, I think J.J. Watt should do some pretty impressive stuff, as always. And it's Monday night, so he's going to shine, but that doesn't mean they're going to win because, like I said, their offense just can't, protect the ball. But the Steelers should be able to run the ball, and they should be able to run it all the way to a victory. And Roethlisberger, if it comes down to it at the end of the game, at the end of the game, who do you want the ball to be in the hands of? Do you want to give the ball to Ryan Fitzpatrick and expect him to win the game for you, or do you want to give the ball to Big Ben and have him win the game? Well, we've seen time and time again that Big Ben is more than capable of those 2-minute drills and those fourth-quarter comebacks. So if it comes down to it, he will come up clutch. Whereas with the Texans, Fitzpatrick, he is like the new Romo. Right, and it's like, geez, can the state of Texas get a quarterback that actually is solid? Of course, Romo was having a good season this year, and so I guess he must have somehow shed his Romo-ness and given it over to Fitzpatrick, right? But either way, I think the Steelers win this game. It'll probably be tight because J.J. Watt will make it an interesting game and keep it tight, but the Steelers will win in the end. They'll do what it takes to win, and the Texans will do what it takes to lose. So that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Interested to hear your opinions. And if you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit the like button. And if you want more of this content, go ahead and subscribe as we bring you upon further reviews and recaps for each and every single game, each and every single week of the entire NFL season and the playoffs, all the way through the Super Bowl. We also have our weekly show, The Wedge, where we do quick picks, fantasy fortune, fantasy football picks. We also have our weekly rewind of the week that was, and we do the upon further review for the Thursday night game on The Wedge. And so check that out. We usually try to get that up midweek. Sometimes it's up as early as Tuesday, usually Wednesday, no later than Thursday. We make sure to have that up before the Thursday night football game. We also cover the MLB playoffs. It's down to the World Series now, just 2 teams, the Giants and the Royals. So we've been covering them through the playoffs. They both started off as wild card teams, and now they've made it all the way to the final round, the World Series. One of them will be the champions of baseball for 2014, and that should be very exciting, and I'm definitely looking forward to that, and we will be covering that. And we also do a little bit of college football as well, so keep an eye out for all of those things, and I greatly appreciate you listening. Thank you so very much. I hope you're having a good day and have a great weekend and enjoy all of the sports.